I never thought I'd see the day when my life would turn into some twisted soap opera, but here we are. My name's Mike, and I was married to Lisa for about 8 years before everything went to hell. We had a pretty decent marriage at the start, good job, a nice house, friends, the usual. I was a writer, and Lisa was always a little bitchy, but she knew how to put on a good face when she wanted something. But lately, she's been acting weird. Always on her phone, secretive, avoiding me when I asked questions. I brushed it off for a while, thinking she was just stressed with her job or maybe just tired of the routine. Then came the signs that something was definitely off. She started coming home late, claiming she was working late or meeting with her agent, which I found strange because she's not even a writer. She's a graphic designer. At first, I didn't think much of it. I figured maybe she was just having an affair with her boss or some one-night thing, but I didn't know for sure. Until one night, I caught her in a lie that made my stomach drop. It was a Saturday night and I was supposed to be out with some friends. I decided to swing by her office to surprise her, but her car was gone. Instead, I saw her phone lying on the table, screen lit up with a message from someone named John. I looked and what I saw made my blood run cold. Can't wait to see you tonight. Found a way to make it special. Hotels paid for just like you wanted. The message was sent at 8:45 p.m. I froze. My mind started racing. Who the hell was John? How long had this been going on? I didn't confront her that night. Instead, I waited until she got home, my stomach in knots. When she walked through the door wearing that fake smile she always put on, I was already boiling. She saw something was wrong when I didn't say hi right away. I kept my composure as best as I could and asked her about the message. She blinked, then started lying through her teeth. Oh, it's just a client, nothing serious, just some work stuff. You know how people get when they're stressed. She looked at me with her typical bitchy attitude, like she thought I was an idiot for confronting her. I wanted to believe her at first, but I knew better. The way she was acting was different. She was defensive, avoiding eye contact, and her story didn't hold up. I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. My mind kept racing with all the possibilities, but deep down I knew. I had the proof. She was cheating, probably with John or someone like him. That was the night everything started unraveling. The next few days were a blur of anger, confusion, and heartbreak. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat properly. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that message, that hotel reservation confirmation she left open on her phone. I started digging through her stuff, hoping to find some more proof, some way to verify what I already knew. It wasn't hard. Her phone was overflowing with texts, flirty, suggestive ones, and there were hotel receipts hidden in her email trash that I'd never seen before. One night, I sat her down when she came home from her meeting, and I just laid everything out. I told her I knew about John, about the hotel, the fake excuses, everything. Her reaction was the worst part. Instead of breaking down or showing remorse, she rolled her eyes and snapped, "Jesus, Mike, you're so paranoid. You're making a big deal out of nothing. It's just sex, for God's sake. It doesn't mean anything." That was her go-to line, "It's just sex." Like that somehow made it okay. I felt my blood boil. I told her I didn't care what she called it, lying, sneaking around, cheating. Whatever it was over for us. But she kept lying, saying she was only doing it because I was busy with my books, that I ignored her, that she was lonely. Honestly, I'd been busy, sure, but nowhere near enough to justify what she was doing. The way she spun her stories made me want to scream. She was acting like I was the problem, like I'd somehow deserved this. That night, I started to get a clear picture of her true personality. She's manipulative and bitchy, always angry when she doesn't get her way, and she loves to lie her ass off when she thinks she can get away with it. That's when I realized I'd been blind for too long. She's the kind of woman who can make you feel like an idiot just for asking questions. And now, I could see her for what she really was, a liar, a cheater, and someone who clearly never cared that much about our marriage. I decided I couldn't keep going like this. I thought about confronting her publicly, maybe calling her out at the next book launch or some event. But I knew her too well. She'd just deny everything, spin it into a bigger mess, and probably make me look like the crazy one. So I started planning my revenge. Not just to punish her, but to get back at her for the pain she caused. I wanted her to feel what I felt: betrayed, humiliated, broken. This wasn't just about cheating. It was about her utterly destroying what little trust I had left in her. That's when I remembered something I'd stumbled across during my digging. She'd been talking to her agent, a woman named Ellen, to get her next project ready. But Ellen wasn't her agent. I found emails where Lisa was pretending to be working on her book, but really she was just chatting up this Ellen about her affair plans. It was sick. She used her professional contacts as cover stories, hiding her lies behind her career. I felt so betrayed, so stupid for not seeing this coming. I didn't want to be the fool anymore. I wasn't going to just walk away like a whipped husband. No, I decided I'd fight fire with fire. I wasn't just going to confront her with what I knew. I was going to turn her own game against her. That's when the plan started forming. I'd make her regret everything, make her see that she'd lose not just me but her reputation if she didn't come clean. The hurt I felt was a sinking feeling, but beneath it, I knew I'd come up with something that would hit her where it hurt the most. She might be used to lying, but I was done being her fool. I'd make sure she paid for her lies, and I'd do it in a way she never saw coming. That's how I began to plot my revenge. Over the next few days, I gathered every shred of evidence I could find. I set up hidden cameras in our bedroom and her phone just to catch her in the act if she slipped up again. I even got a friend to help me, someone I could trust who was good at this kind of thing. I wanted to be sure I had every detail, every lie she told before I made my move. I felt like I was walking a tightrope, angry, betrayed, but also calculating. I had to be smart because Lisa was manipulative and savvy. She'd probably try to spin her way out of this, or worse, turn the tables on me. One evening, I followed her when she said she was going to meet her agent. I knew she was lying. I parked across the street from the hotel she'd booked, a fancy place she obviously thought was secret enough. I watched her walk in with her purse, her heels clicking on the sidewalk. It was like watching a bad movie. I felt sick, but relieved that I was finally seeing the truth. I waited outside in my car for what seemed like forever. Then I saw her come out smiling, her face flushed, and she got into a different car. I followed at a distance, heart pounding, until I saw her slip into the hotel room I'd seen the reservation for, with a man I didn't recognize. That was the moment I knew I had to act fast. I parked my car nearby and took pictures through the window. I got enough to make her face and the room number clear. I was shaking, but I also felt a strange sense of clarity. This wasn't just about cheating anymore. Her entire facade was built on lies. She was willing to ruin everything: our marriage, her reputation, even her career, just to get her kicks. I couldn't let her get away with it, not without making her pay. The next day, I arranged a meeting with a lawyer just to understand my options. I wasn't planning to just walk away. I wanted her to understand that her actions had consequences. I also started talking to my publisher about how I could leverage this. I figured the best revenge was to make her lose everything she cared about: her reputation, her career, her sense of control. When I confronted her with the evidence, she didn't even bother to deny it. She just sneered and said, "You're overreacting. This isn't who I am. You're just jealous because I'm better at sex than you ever were." That was the moment I saw the real her, the bitchy, selfish woman who thought the world revolved around her. She lied about everything, called me insecure, accused me of being controlling. But I stayed calm. I knew I had her cornered. I told her I was done, that I was filing for divorce and going public if she didn't come clean. She just laughed and said I was pathetic, that I'd never have the guts to do anything. But I did. I had the evidence, I had the plan, and I knew I wasn't going to let her get away with this. I started drafting a detailed report with all the evidence laid out: the hotel receipts, the messages, the pictures. I wanted her to see that I wasn't just some fool who got played. I was the man who was going to make sure she paid every price for her lies. I decided I'd confront her again, but this time with everything on the table. I was done being the nice guy. The emotional impact was overwhelming. I felt like my whole world was collapsing around me, but at the same time I was numb. The betrayal cut so deep I felt like I was drowning in it. I kept telling myself I'd be okay, that I'd get through this, but I wasn't sure how. I just knew I couldn't stay silent anymore. I had to do something, anything, to reclaim my dignity before she took everything from me. The day I decided to confront her again, I felt a strange mix of anger, relief, and dread. I had the evidence spread out on my laptop, ready to show her just how deep her lies went. I knew she thought she had the upper hand, that she could spin any story and I'd back down, but I was done playing nice. I was going to lay it all out and see how she managed to wiggle her way out of this one. When she got home that evening, I could see the smirk on her face, that bitchy little smirk she always had when she thought she was in control. I didn't say a word at first. I just kept looking at her, then pointed my laptop at her. The pictures of her sneaking into that hotel room, the hotel receipts, the text from John, the fake stress excuse, everything. Her face froze for a second, then she started spinning her usual lies. "Oh, come on, Mike. You're overreacting. That's not what it looks like. You're just being paranoid again." I cut her off. "No, Lisa, you're the one who's paranoid. You've been sneaking around behind my back for months. I've got the receipts, the pictures, everything. And you think you can just lie your way out of this? You're a damn hypocrite. You kept telling me I was too busy with my books, but really you were busy banging your damn agent or whoever she was." Her face turned red. She started yelling, calling me crazy, possessive, and jealous, a typical defense mode for her. She told me I was insecure, that she was only trying to find herself, that she needed excitement. I saw right through her. Her words were just more lies, desperate, pathetic attempts to save her ass. I wasn't going to buy it anymore. I told her she could lie all she wanted, but her lies didn't change the truth. I was done. I was done pretending her cheating was just sex, like she kept saying. It was more than that. It was betrayal, disrespect, and a complete loss of respect for her as a person. I told her I was filing for divorce and that I'd be exposing her to everyone, her friends, her family, her publisher. She shrieked, trying to deny everything, but I'd had enough. I knew I couldn't trust her anymore. What hit me hardest was the look in her eyes when she realized I wasn't playing anymore. That cold, calculating look. My wife was finally cornered. I saw a flicker of panic, then anger. She tried to throw a tantrum, calling me names, accusing me of ruining her life. But I just stood there calm, because I knew she'd pushed me to this point. I told her I'd leave that night and start sorting out the divorce papers. The emotional roller coaster was brutal. I felt like I was losing my mind, then like I was finally free. All those years of pretending, of ignoring the signs, hit me like a ton of bricks. I'd trusted her, loved her, and she'd spit in my face with her lies. I was devastated, yet strangely relieved. Part of me was angry that I'd wasted so much time, but another part was glad to finally see her true face. As I packed a bag that night, I realized I had nothing to lose anymore. I had my dignity, my truth, and a plan to move forward. I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. I'd have to rebuild my life from the ground up, but I also knew I'd be better off without someone who thought she could cheat and lie her way through life. I felt a strange sense of empowerment, knowing I was finally taking control, even if it meant tearing everything apart first. That night, I slept in my car, just outside the house, feeling like I was standing at the edge of a new world. A world where I finally saw Lisa for who she really was, and where I was determined not to let her anymore. I'd lost a lot, but I also gained clarity. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming myself from her lies and betrayal. And I knew I'd survive. I had to. The morning after I left, everything felt surreal. I woke up with a pounding headache, the kind that comes from a mix of heartbreak and adrenaline. I had a plan in my head, but executing it was going to be another story. I knew I had to go all in, expose her, make her see that she couldn't just cheat and lie her way out of it. I was done playing nice. This wasn't just about ending the marriage. It was about making her pay for all the damage she'd done. First, I contacted my lawyer and told him everything. I handed over all the evidence I had collected, screenshots, hotel receipts, photos, and text messages. I wanted her to feel the full weight of what I knew. Then I reached out to my publisher, explaining that my wife had been unfaithful and that I was considering going public. I wasn't planning to just quietly divorce her. I wanted her reputation ruined, at least in her professional circle. If she thought she could cheat and get away with it, she was dead wrong. Meanwhile, I made arrangements to meet with Ellen, her so-called agent, the one she'd been chatting with about her book, but really using as cover for her affair. I wanted to confront her directly. I found her number through some of Lisa's emails. She was easy to track because they'd exchanged a lot of private stuff. I told her I knew everything, that Lisa had been lying to her, using her as part of her little betrayal scheme. Ellen's reaction was priceless. She was stunned, then angry, then scared. She tried to deny any knowledge, but I had proof. I told her I'd be exposing her too if she didn't cut ties with Lisa immediately. Once I had everything lined up, I set the plan into motion. I sent the divorce papers to Lisa with a detailed explanation of my reasons, her lying, cheating, and betrayal. I also sent her a copy of everything I had collected, including the hotel receipts and screenshots, with a simple note. This is the end of the line. I wanted her to see that I wasn't bluffing. She called me nonstop, screaming, begging, crying, anything to get me to back down. But I stayed firm. I wasn't going to be manipulated anymore. That day, I also made a public post on a local writers' forum. I didn't name her directly, but I hinted at her betrayal, enough to ruin her professional reputation if anyone dug into it. I knew her career was fragile and I wanted to hit her where it hurt most. Within hours, the rumors started spreading. Her agent cut ties. Her friends started questioning her. She was panicking, calling me, accusing me of trying to destroy her. But I didn't care. I knew I was finally taking back control. The emotional toll was immense. I felt like I was walking through a nightmare, betrayed, humiliated, angry at myself for trusting her so blindly. But at the same time, I felt a strange sense of liberation. I was finally fighting back. I was no longer the fool she thought I was. I'd stand tall, even if it meant losing everything. Because I realized something crucial. I deserved better than a cheating wife who lied her way through our marriage. I spent the next few days trying to pick up the pieces. My heart was heavy, but I also felt a strange sense of relief. I knew I'd lost her, but I'd gained clarity about who I was. The woman I married, Lisa, had been a facade. Beneath it all was someone selfish, manipulative, and willing to destroy everything for her own pleasure. And I refuse to be part of that anymore. I'm not perfect, but I'm finally honest with myself. That's what counts now. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe I'll find someone who respects me. Maybe I'll just focus on my books and rebuilding my life. What I do know is that I'm done with her, and I'm done with her lies. I can't change what happened, but I can control what comes next. And honestly, it feels good to finally stand up for myself, even if it hurts like hell in the process. The weeks that followed were the hardest I've ever gone through. There was a strange emptiness, like I was finally free, but at the same time completely shattered. Every day I replayed everything, her lies, the betrayal, the look in her eyes when I showed her the proof. It was a slow process of rebuilding myself, piece by piece, trying to remember who I was before all this happened. I started focusing more on my writing, pouring my pain and rage into my stories. Somehow, putting words on paper made it a little easier to breathe. I won't lie, there are nights when I feel the sting of betrayal all over again. The thought that I was so blind, so naive, cuts deep. But I also realize I've learned a lot about trust, about myself, and about how dangerous it is to ignore the red flags. Lisa's betrayal was a wake-up call, an ugly reminder that some people will lie, cheat, and manipulate to get what they want. I can't control her actions, but I can control how I respond. I've chosen to move on, to rebuild without her, and to never let someone like her ruin me again. Looking back, I see how much she underestimated me. She thought she could lie her way through her betrayal, that I'd never find out or that I'd just accept it. But her lies only exposed who she really was: selfish, manipulative, bitchy. Her actions cost her everything: her reputation, her career, her marriage. Honestly, I don't feel an ounce of guilt about that. I hope she feels the weight of what she did every single day. That's the justice I needed, even if it hurts like hell. As for myself, I've started to heal. I've reconnected with friends, poured my feelings into my writing, and begun to see a future without her. It's scary, sure, but it's also freeing. I've realized that I don't have to tolerate betrayal or lies from anyone, especially not a wife who thought she could play me for a fool. I've learned that honesty and respect are the only foundations I want to rebuild my life on. Now I look at myself differently. I'm not perfect, and I'll never forget what happened, but I'm stronger. I've taken back my power, and I refuse to let her ruin me anymore. My advice to anyone in a similar spot: trust your instincts. Don't ignore the signs, and don't be afraid to fight for yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're the only one who truly has your back. And sometimes the hardest lessons are the ones that teach you how to be better, how to stand tall even when everything around you is falling apart. I'm still healing, still finding my way. But I know one thing for sure: I'll never let someone betray me like that again. I deserve better. We all do.